It's way more important that people understand what the government is doing in their name than us having another hit record. Bring it out now. Stephen and I had done a very easy acoustic track of Teach Your Children, with me on acoustic and Stephen on acoustic and Dallas Taylor, our drummer, on tambourine. When we got to the part where there's supposed to be a solo, both Stephen and Neil said, you know what? We've played a lot of electric guitar on this album already. What can we do to make it different? Crosby came up and he said, hey, I've heard that my friend Jerry Garcia is just learning to play the pedal steel and he's in the next studio. I said, okay. We made a rough 2-track of the song. I said to Davey, take this into Garcia's studio, play it for him, see if he likes it enough to bring his pedal steel into our studio and play. He did. He loved the song. He came in, he set up, we hit the red light. He played 1 track. We got to the end and I said, that's unbelievable. He said, what do you mean? I said, you searching your way through a song you've only just heard once is amazing to me. And he said, well, I made a couple of mistakes. Can I do a 2nd track? I said, yes, absolutely, out of respect as a musician. Of course you can do a 2nd track, but I'm never going to use it. He said, yeah. What? And I said, no, you don't. You got to understand, Jerry, you searching your way through this song was brilliant. We did, in fact, take the 2 mistakes, very slight ones, out of his 2nd track, but I used the 1st track that he played, and he turned it into a big hit.
Yeah, look, you know, there's another kind of lightning in a bottle moment, right? That happens so much, and the idea to not make it perfect, to allow the humanity that comes from the imperfection.
Exactly.
Right? Adds the kind of the special sauce.
It was very special sauce, I must admit.
Yes, it was. Do you recall the first moment where that particular song, whether it was the melody or a lyric, entered your head?
I do indeed. And it was in England. I had started Teach Your Children because I realized that if we didn't teach our children a better way of dealing with humanity, humanity itself was in trouble. And so I had the first couple of verses and the chorus, and I finished it when I moved to America. I played it for Stephen. He looked at me and he said, you know what? That's a pretty good song. Don't ever play it like that again. I said, excuse me? He said, no, you sound like Henry VIII. No. This is how it should go. And he put that beautiful picking pattern with Stephen's right hand that he's so famous for. And between that and Jerry Garcia's intro and playing it on that record, that was it. And Neil hasn't played or sung a note on Teach Your Children, or Our House, as a matter of fact.
The first kernel was it lyrics that came out, or was there a slight melody? I know you changed it ultimately the way that you described it, but do you recall in your process, is it one way or the other typically, or not at all?
It was typical of me. I had a melody, and what I have in my mind is right now probably over 50 little melodies that I've written in my mind. And I have the equivalent amount of lyrics that I have. Once I find a lyric that fits a melody, I'm off writing. And then I need to, research what I want to write about, and that's what happens. And that's what happened with Teach Your Children. I had the melody and a few of the lyrics already established in my mind before I got to America.
The lyrics and the story of Teach Your Children, you said that it's a reflection of the times. So what was the context at that particular moment that you were referring to in Teach Your Children?
The fact that children, regardless of nationality, are children all over the world. And we have a lot to learn from them, and we have a lot to teach them also, because we need to teach them kindness. We need to teach them empathy. We need to teach them manners, and that's what I tried to do with my children. I didn't have, my children then, but it became even clearer to me when I had children of my own.
Was there a particular event that was happening at the time that stirred you into thinking that, or was it just the general context of life in the UK at the time?
As with most of my songs, it's just life that happens to me. That's why my new album is called Now. It's just me reflecting on what's going on politically and what's going on romantically with me in my life.
What was the feeling like in the studio amongst you all? Was there any sense of pressure? Was it, explain just what the overall vibe was like when you were recording this, and whether you as a musician, having come together, this is now your second album together with CSNY, if you felt any pressure.
Not at all. Not at all. Here's what went on. There were no record company people at the records. There were no musicians union people at our recording sessions. We kept everybody away so that we as musicians could concentrate on what we were doing. When Teach Your Children was put out as a single record, it was going up the charts. It was already in the top 30. And then Ohio happened. David told me he was up in the Bay Area with Neil at a house of a friend of ours. They were, spending a weekend together, just chilling. And he called me. I was in Los Angeles. He said, book the studio, book Halverson, who was our engineer, book the band, book tape, book it all. I said, absolutely. Why? He said, well, I just showed Neil the cover of the magazine with the slain student from Kent State on. I saw him pick up his acoustic guitar, walk out into the woods where the house was, and come back an hour later with this song called Ohio. We have to record it. They came down the next day. I'd already booked the studio and the engineer, etc., etc. We recorded Ohio in 3 takes. We recorded a B-side called Find the Cost of Freedom in 3 takes. Ahmet Erdogan, who was our dear friend from who was at the session, we gave him the mix and we said, we want this out now. He said, wait a second, you have Teach Your Children going up the charts. What do you mean you want it out now? We said, look, it's way more important that people understand what the government is doing in their name than us having another hit record. Bring it out now. And the original 45 sleeve for Ohio was a picture of the Constitution of the United States with 4 bullet holes in it. Wow. We killed our own single, and we were absolutely delighted with doing that.